And it's been 1 year since Officer Derek Chauvin murdered George Floyd in Minneapolis. This afternoon, Floyd's family will meet with President Biden and lawmakers in Congress to mark the anniversary of his death. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera is in Washington with the details on those meetings and the debate over police reform on Capitol Hill.
Protesters hit the streets to mark 1 year since George Floyd's death. At the Minnesota State Capitol, they called for legislation to hold police officers accountable, something they say still hasn't been met despite global protests against racial injustice.
What I remind every single one of you is, Minnesotans, we have failed George Floyd. We have failed George Floyd's family. We have failed the countless families who are standing here because nothing has been done in this state.
In Washington, there is debate over the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. The president had hoped to address police reform by the 1 year anniversary of Floyd's death, but it stalled in the Senate. One of the holdups is on whether to end qualified immunity for officers, which shields them from most civil lawsuits.
We have to be willing to compromise on both sides to have a final product.
Meanwhile, some officers say lack of support has caused them to leave the force.
I love my job in Minneapolis. Unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to do it the way, in a manner that I believed I should do it.
Several cities throughout the country are also grappling with a rise in violent crime, and some Republicans say calls to defund the police may be partially to blame.
Adequate policing is not an enemy of civil rights.
Senate Democrats need 10 Republican votes to avoid a filibuster. Despite missing the president's May 25th deadline to pass legislation on police reform, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle say they're making progress. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.